beginning, I'll probably just start going. Okay. Okay, so for our project, we have an AI lecture platform which will feature a lot of things that we would find in popular courses like Coursera or Google Classroom, but rather in this product, we'd rather to focus on doing with with almost kind of like a virtual session of the classroom of the real live classroom. So that is what we are setting out to do, not simply just an like a MUOC, which is the massive online library courses, but we want to do like an interactive way and a product that would mirror how we would interact in real life in a classroom environment. So a little bit of a system overview. You can see in our SRS, which has a little bit more information, but I'll briefly go over some of them here in the main design. And firstly is the problem statement. The problem statement is that we need to have a clear, firstly, we need to automate the delivery interactive, and we have to ensure the robustness. So firstly is that we want to ensure that that for a large scale auditorium or for a large scale hall, you probably have about 50 to 100 students, and handing out lessons and distributing all of them and managing students would be a tad bit difficult. So for that to be successful and for that to be effective enough, we would have to have an adaptive way, an adaptive application or something to essentially automate and also do about with kind of synchronize and assist with the lecturer a little bit, the professor, and in how to manage a large scale class. So interactive is like real life because we are trying to elevate the real life experiences. We are not entirely replacing, but we want to simulate the experience when available. And thirdly is the robust tracking because we have so many students and it enables professors and teachers and lecturers to manage way more students and way more groups and classes. We would want to have a robust way of tracking, which has analytics and engagement and progresses from students and so on. And for the target users, we would have two main customers. Firstly, is that we have the educators and we have the students. The educators would use our platform to essentially distribute, to um, create, to craft a AI tailored version of the lesson. How AI and how which materials are available, we will cover in a later section. And for the students, we would have the ability to be as interactive as possible without being live in person. So we can ask teachers in real time and get the response in real time via the Q&A bot chatbot or via some assisted tools that we can use. And we also can see the AI delivered lectures, such as such as animations from mathematics, and also slides and PDFs that were created by a set of lessons from the teachers. And also quizzes, and students can also track their progress. Firstly, since we have two target customers, we have two user sectors. We first want to propose a teacher view. Firstly is the teacher view. We would go forth and so firstly we would have to have a bit of a drag and drop interface. We can upload PDFs, PPTs, PowerPoints, and quiz templates to the studio, and we can edit, and we can also one click and like create uh, avatar and movements because we can also substitute or just augment the learning process by having avatars, almost humans avatars or just animations. And we can have like these are some of the example mock-ups that we're having. Firstly is the class homepage, and secondly is the scripting. And next up is data-driven. We want to have a lot of data. Essentially, we want to aggregate as many data as possible, and we want to make sure that those data is essentially transferable, and to make them useful in multiple settings and in multiple applications. We want to be able to aggregate as much data as possible, and also want to use it in an effective way either in our application, or you can export it as JSON, CSV, PDFs, documents, and import to a different application, so long as you own all the data of the students interacting in the platform. Yeah, and next up is our student views, and mainly we would have the main section and the sectors to look and to interact with the lessons. Firstly, as we mentioned, we have AI avatar, and we have real-time Q&A system, and also mandatory tech check-in for attendance check-in. We have 4 screens in development. Firstly is the homepage, which we can see to have different components, different blocks that represents different interactive sections, from classes to statistics to the materials of today, and also a little bit of AI suggestions. And next up is the learning screen, the main learning screen, which we would have slides and videos and virtual lecture, and also the interactive chatbot, which we can have. And also finally is the quiz, which is quite standard. And for the delivery, we would have students. This is chopped off a picture, but we would have students log in with more, like we can students can join. This is actually a very crisp image that I can think of. We can join the classes, and we can open each chapters, and we can see each chapters, and we can view the materials from each chapters. And yes, these are essentially the screens. Next up is how it works. Like to summarize, upload, AI processing, review, lecture, and Q&A analytics, like everything I've just said before. And yeah, I think that concludes the entire pipeline which we want to preview. And this would be the section which, oh, my mistakes. This is the teacher's part, and this would be the students' part. And students can join the classes here, and teachers they would have the options to create classes here and create different lessons here. Okay, so these are the two. Oh, and after we have generated, or after we have finished editing the scripts or the material or something, we would be able to export it or to deliver it to the students directly to their homepage. So that is yeah, that concludes our presentation. So next up will be for the questions, please.
Okay, thanks guys. There's a question in chat which is about I'll just read the entire message. I have a minor concern which is probably best relegated to implementation details. I would assume that this is meant to be highly accessible for the users. Is there a way to accommodate for less than able-bodied students and teachers? For example, with low-sighted users or with screen reader support? That's the chat message.
Okay, that is a fantastic idea. Yes, we have a number of ways to augment the process. Firstly is by screen readers. For example, our application would be web-based, so in each element would have different what we call aerial labels. So the aerial labels which we would essentially give every buttons, it would be mandatory for a web standard to have aerial labels, because it would enable screen readers for people who can't see well, and for people who can't hear well, they can see the well, essentially they can see, but for people who can't see well, they can use the accessibility features in their browsers. and essentially just read aloud every element in the screen. So that would be a default settings, but I agree. We can enable different like interactions, different screens, bigger buttons, or different UIs like that to accommodate for less than able-bodied people. But yeah, that's a fantastic idea.
Right, thank you. I do have some questions as well because it's well, first of all, let me just talk about the SRS which we received last week. It's well, overall we think it is a really in-depth and detailed SRS. I think you guys did a very clear job in expressing the functionalities of your system. Apart from minor, well, formatting and typos, right? Things that I don't think should bear mention. I'll just say that there were some typos, there were some misfonts, but that's, I think, okay. The content itself is sound. If I would give a little bit of feedback, maybe a little bit more elaboration around part 1.3, I would love to have a few reading suggestions because as is, I read through the whole 40-page document, and it could be a little bit overwhelming for less technical users. Right. Okay, yeah, one more suggestion that I do have is a little bit more elaboration around the functional requirements, because you have nearly more than 50, you have nearly 100, and even though they are grouped into very clear categories and they all have very clearly labeled requirements, it would be nice to have a little blob of text to cap out each group of requirements so we can see how they all link together. Right, so that's probably all the feedback I have from reading your SRS. I do have a few questions about your system as well. So according to the client requirements, right, we are looking for dynamic AI lecture courses. I want to ask because in that presentation and also in your SRS, I see that you guys are going for a model where the lecturers are going to give the script and it's just going to be text-to-speech AI, basically reading aloud that speech. I wonder if this fits the definition of a dynamic coursework. If there are any other ways that you guys are going to enable a more dynamic experience from the user? Because if we're doing text-to-speech, it's just rereading what a human wrote, right? Hello, can you hear me?
I think we need to have some discussion. Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Sorry, my mic just is a little bit messy. Can I just confirm that I did hear your question, and what do you mean? Could you please elaborate a bit of the increase of dynamic, and what does that mean in general?
Right. So I was just thinking of this potential pipeline, right? So currently, what you guys are proposing is basically lecturer, human lecturer or human course maker types in the script. Text-to-speech AI converts that entire script into an exact reading. And that exact reading is the course content that is delivered to the learner. As is, that is not that different from a pre-recorded lecture, where you would just have, a pre-recorded scripted speech by a human. In terms of being more dynamic compared to normal system, how are you guys implementing that dynamicness?
Oh, so you want, all right, okay, I get it. So the sense here is that we would want to avoid the notion of having essentially a massive online library courses, which is a mock, or something like Coursera or something like our university has deposited, which is okay, but it can resemble a lot of YouTube videos and already existing libraries out there. However, in the sense of our automatically generated content, each slide or each frame or each segment would have its own contexts. So if students are to if they are at second 20 and they don't understand something and they want to ask they want to pose a question, for example, at this point, why is the section B like that, or why is the equation like that? The AI or the AI assisted lecturer or the AI avatar would need to have the precise context, the precise content of the slide and the rubrics, because when the teachers upload the content, they would need to fill in the script, right? So the rubrics, so full on information. So the AI would have the interactivity. So not just like a still slideshow, which is already existing out there, or videos. In this case, we can be interactive one-on-one with like a general tutor who can have enough context to answer. So I think that would generally increase the so-called dynamic between interaction between screen versus or videos versus human to human, but we can't fully replace it. We can only augment it in a sense that it can always be readily available. So I think that would be my response to that. I don't know if that satisfies your requirements.
All right. I get the idea that you guys are trying to convey. I think that's a perfectly valid way of introducing like more dynamics between the lecturer and the learner. If I was thinking myself, right, I was thinking more of a system where it would be the course would be able to adapt to the learner, not the other way around, right? And that fits into a description that differentiator between you guys and something like Coursera that you guys talk about. I think that's another potential way if that's not on your radar already.
Yeah,
As
that is
for
actually a great idea, and we think for the requirements of the course, obviously we would want to have a fixed rubrics. We don't want to have it constantly like changing, because firstly is the hallucination and things like that, but also for the fact that we would want to contain a course in a rubric. So because the teachers would provide the rubrics beforehand, we would not want to regress or diverge or just look anywhere around other than the rubrics. So your point is, I would say that we would have a sort of dynamics, like adaptive learning, yes, but within the confines of the already available like resources only and quizzes.
I see. So it would be pretty similar to like a kind of knowledge retrieval and transformation system. No?
Oh yeah, yes, it is.
All right. I think, yeah, I think that resolves most of my concerns. Thank you very much. Do we have any other questions from our group? Let me check. No, our members are not posing anything. So I think that would be all. Thank you very much. Great. Great project.
Okay, so that will conclude our session for today. All right. Thank you.